Hello, my name is Kerryoff, and today we're going to do a cheeky little range review for the Forge World Necromunda stuff, because by God, there's actually quite a lot in this range now. It's pretty sizable, this lot. Also, the lad on the screen right now is also kind of sizable, as we can see. I apologise if there's any weird background noise. There's a small ocean being poured onto my office right now, and I will try and get rid of it, but if you just hear some weird noises, that's all it is. I apologise. I will try and shift it in post, as I believe the professionals say. I do not count myself as a professional. So, let's take a look at the various goodies that Forge World has to offer in terms of Necromunda miniatures, because, to be honest, the Necromunda range as a whole, across Games Workshop and Forge World, the range is solid. There's so many good things in it. So many good things. I will say, this is maybe not the strongest start, if I'm totally honest. There are bits of this model I really like. There is, however, one major thing I really don't like, and that is this dude's face/head. I don't know whether it was intentional that he looks like a potato with a mouth. I don't know whether that was what they were going for, but I don't know, it just looks a bit wonky and weird compared to the rest of the model. Like, the rest of it feels super solid. That's a very blown out collection of pictures they've used for this. The rest of it feels super solid. I like the detail of the veins all over the arms. You've got those big metal, like, shoulder plates. It almost looks like they're holding the upper arm together, like it just split open. If it wasn't for those, the bone growth's coming out of the elbow, the chains around the wrist. There's some really nice details on this model. It looks really good. Like the what are they? The tendons in the neck there, the straining of the neck. That is a quality, like a quality little bit of detail. But then his head looks really weird, but it only looks weird from one side. I feel like from that angle there, that is a decent looking head. That's pretty well done. But then as you go round, it feels like it's not quite misshapen enough when you look at the rest of the body, or it's a little bit too misshapen in a way that makes it distracting as opposed to adding anything. Which I don't know. It's a weird one. I've just never been a fan of that aspect of this model, which is a shame because I like all the other stuff. There's a lot of kind of gross stuff going on here with like all the injection ports and stuff that have been rammed into the skin. There's some real like uncomfortable looking kind of implant stuff going on here, which is awesome. And also, again, the tearing of the flesh there by the arm, that's a really nice detail. There's lots of cool little bits all over this model, but then the head and the face just don't do it for me. Just don't do it for me. The rest of it's super solid, though. It's a really good-looking model, that. Every now and again, I feel like I should grab one and do something with it, but I don't know what I'd do. I've no idea what I'd do. Now, complete opposite, I guess, of that lad. You've got Mercator Sanguis. I mean, he also has some girth on him. You know, you can't say that he hasn't got some girth on him. It's maybe not quite distributed in the same way, but he has got some. This is kind of a gross model, to be honest. It's a bit bleh. There's just little details here and there that really stand out as being kind of unpleasant. The amount of detail that's been placed in terms of that skull, like sinking in, like not sinking into the flesh, but resting on the flesh, is very well done. Don't get me wrong, but also a bit like, oh god, that big old weird cable coming down from the claw there. Just going to say fist. It's more of a claw. It's kind of a cool shape. I like the way they've done that. It almost looks like the cable. The whip should be where the like third finger on the mechanical hand is, but no. Instead, you've got this You got this kind of segmented metal power whip thing, which, again, I really like the design of. I really, really like the kind of twisted royalty angle of this one. And the arm, actually. Just the arm as a whole, that you've got that kind of 3-finger claw, you've got the whip extending out from like the base of it. The fact that the arm is like not fully connected. So it's a prosthetic, but instead of like plugging into where the stump of the arm is, like when you look at a lot of prosthetic stuff on like Space Marines, for instance, it just goes straight over the stump and there you go. This is like a different approach to it. It feels more not experimental, like it feels like a lesser technology in a way, like more clunky, like an underground version of it. So you've got the ring that goes round what's left of the arm, but then to control it, there's this big, like really chunky cable that I'm guessing runs up to like the base of the like the nape of the neck. It's a cool touch. It's a really cool touch. I hadn't really noticed that he's missing his leg on that side as well, thinking about it. Never noticed that before. Because it's metal going onto a metal pipe, I hadn't really twigged that is a prosthetic as well. That is one of the coolest chain axes in the game. I'll just say that right now. That is one of the... well, in the game, just in 40k in general. That is a badass chain axe. It is very over the top. It's probably a bit too silly in a way, but I really, really like that. It's just so mad. It's massive for a start. The gigantic skull decoration is so over the top. Yeah, solid model. His sidekicks look solid as well. I mean, again, there's some nice detail going on there. I like the fact that this guy's got the full mechanical foot. It looks way more like expensive and like decent technology than just the big old thing that he's got on his own leg, but sure. The chainsaw for a hand is a classic. Absolutely classic. The metal, like, stitches, what is it, sutures? That are keeping that dude's chest together are gnarly as anything. There are some thick scars going on that dude's body. Oh, this is so good. So good. It's just, yeah. There's a really what is his name? From Fury Road, from the People Eaters. I forget what the character's name is, but the massive guy in the suit that comes from Gastown. There's a definite vibe of that going on. There's very much a vibe of that going on. Love him, great. I'm pretty sure we talked about this guy before as well, the Eightfold Harvest Lord. I like most of this model. I kind of go back and forth on this one a little bit. I do like it. In some ways, I kind of every now and again I look at it and go, there's just bits of that that's a bit too busy, that don't look quite right. I think the things that every now and again jump out at me as being not quite what I would go for. The kind of banner on his back made of stitched skin, all in favour of that. That looks cool. The actual weapons themselves are cool. I think it's these spikes on the shoulder pads. The placement of them feels a bit weird. I'm not really sure why. I feel like they'd be better served being sort of almost like maybe attached to the banner or something. I don't know. There's just something about the placement of them that just doesn't quite grab me. It just doesn't quite work for me personally. The rest of it I think looks really decent. The couple of hands on the hook is a nice detail. Any criticism I have of that is that it's sunk into the cloak a bit too much. It doesn't look like it's... It looks like it's been made part of that cloak because they couldn't find a way to do it other than that. Like, it makes the cloak look too solid. There's no, like, ripple or, like... the cloth isn't deforming around the hands. They're just, like, stuck on top of it, which... It's not too noticeable from the front, which is good, but then as you turn it, it's like the detail kind of gets lost a bit. From the front view, it's absolutely fine. It's just as you turn it round. I mean, that's a fairly small, nitpicky thing to go for. I will happily admit that, but the rest of it is decent. Now, these two, Apollos Cage and Crotus Hark, I really like multiple different bits on these models, but would actually prefer them to be on the same model, if that makes sense. So my ideal Necromunda ganger slash warrior would genuinely be, and these guys look Orlok and Goliath if I remember correctly, or at least they were once. What I would want would be Cage's legs, Krotos's upper body, but with Cage's coat, but Krotos's shoulder pads, and with Krotos's head, but with the rebreather from Cage on the front of it. That's what my perfect model would be. I'm not going to buy them and make it happen because that's absurd. That would require so much work and so much effort for literally no reason whatsoever. But that would be perfect. That would be perfect. I do like how plain and utilitarian. There's a difference in approaches here. So he's got the knife, he's got the gun, and that's about it. He's got some pouches, he's got some spare shells, but then you compare that to the backpack where you've got another shotgun, you've got the grenade, you've got the knife, there's multiple belts of ammo, the actual, fact that there is a backpack in the first place. There's nice little personality differences in these two. They do look good. I have to say, again, the Necromunda range across both Games Workshop and Forge World is just super solid. It's super solid. It's really nicely done. The squat ammo jack, I mean, firstly, it's a squat. How are you going to complain about a squat? Secondly, just give us a squat army now. Well, just do it. Just go for it. You've clearly found your style here. I mean, you'd found the style when you did the Caradron Overlords, let's be totally honest. But, just do it. Just go for it. I think you've nailed what sort of approach to take, so why not? Why not do it? Bring the squats back. Make everyone happy. I have to admit, you could easily get away with just taking a gun off him, altering a couple of things on his chest, and he would just be a fantasy dwarf, which I don't know whether actually Games Workshop want that approach for squats or not, but the arm, that's one of the main things I like about it. The arm on this guy is a really cool bionic arm. I really like how different that is to some of the more clunky, 2 or 3 fingered, big kind of claw approaches. I like the difference between that and those. Also, the hair is excellent. The only thing I don't like about the preview for this model is having the crates in there as well. I understand why they've done it, but it means there's certain angles where you can't see certain bits of the model, which is a little bit annoying. I mean, it's just the boots, but still. Yeah, it's just that's a really nicely done, bionic arm on him. I like the fact that the chest armor extends down, all the way down. You gotta keep the crown jewels safe, This feels like it's been painted super well as well, actually. This is a pretty crisp paint job. All of these are painted decently, but this feels like a step above, especially with the face and the hair. Yeah, Ragnar Gunstein, the squat ammo jack. Again, solid model. So, ammo jack and dome runner, they're okay. They just feel a little bit plain at this point. I think there are some really interesting models in this range. There are some really kind of unique and individual sculpts. These aren't necessarily that. there's just not a huge amount going on. I mean, simplicity is good. Massively overcomplicating every model just means everything feels like a mess. And there are things I do like about these two. Like that backpack with all of that ammo, the hammer as well, the chains holding things together, the ropes and the what are they called, like the little kind of climbing hook things holding it on. There's a lot to like of this model, but it feels like most of it is on the back. It feels like that's where a lot of the personality is. I do like the lenses, kind of like the visor that's attached to his head. That's a cool touch, but I don't know. It kind of feels like there's not quite enough personality going on. Although that is a cool head on this guy. And the rat is an excellent addition. Yeah, they're okay. They're just not my favourites. There are other models in this range that are just so much more interesting to me visually. Speaking of which, actually, I used to really, really like these two. I still like the Deserter. Yar Umbra it kind of goes up and down in my estimation. The Deserter is a good model because of the pose. The pose says a lot about the Deserter just as a character. It's a really well sculpted pose because you can tell that they don't want to be there. You can tell there's a bit of cowardice, there's a bit of like uncertainty. That kind of toe-in stance they've got tells a little story all of its own. And yeah, I'm like, that to me has more personality than, say, that. That feels like default hero pose in a way. That is something totally different. I think the storytelling's better on this model. Yeah, I do like that one. There are a few things I really like about Yar Umbra. I mean, like the big canister on the back with the cabling that goes around the front into like a rebreather thing is cool. I kind of go back and forth on the head. I either really like it or I really dislike it. I either think it looks awesome or feel like there's a bit of a lack of detail going on in some ways. I can never really settle on which one it is. The las gun is also pretty cool. Like that bit of added customization with the cloth wrapped around the front and around the stock. I think the scratches are just painted on, but that's a nice touch to it. Also, that is a pretty utilitarian-looking knife, which I really like. I think kind of, yeah, there's bits that really stand out as being interesting and different, and then the rest of it's just kind of clothes, and it's not as fascinating as I think perhaps I once thought it was. As I say, I kind of go back and forth on this one. Now, the headsman for House Cawdor, quality model. Look at that axe for a start. That is a great axe. Well, I mean, it's a great axe, but it's also a great looking axe. All of the candles dripping wax onto his bare head. You've got to be an absolute stone cold murderer to be not bothered by that. So, fits pretty well because clearly that's what he is. It's a really good model. Sticking with with House Cawdor, the comedy bomb rats. Love these little fellas. Look at him go. Oh, I love that these exist. This is a thing that someone went, yes, let's do the rats. We definitely need to do the rats. This little candle on his head. It's dumb. Don't get me wrong. It is silly. It is extremely silly. But at the same time, I mean, that one's got little legs. It's got little wheels instead of back legs. It's the fact that, I mean, that guy's clearly the bomb stitched into the rat. It's just so gruesome. But at the same time, look at the little deformed faces. Oh, also the size of them as well. Jesus. I mean, hive cities aren't great, but if you got like rats like that wandering around. God damn. A rat like that would just kill your dog. What are you going to do about it? It's going to be the same size. Ugh, terrible. The Sump Croc, I feel like, isn't necessarily a bad model, but I don't think this paint job shows it off very well, to be honest. I think this is a rare miss in terms of the paint job. It feels a little bit messy here and there. I don't know, like the kind of the gap between the scales, I think has been emphasised a bit too heavily. It makes it look less detailed than it actually is, in a weird way. I think when you look at the actual, like the bare resin in this picture, those massive gaps between the scales, they're nowhere near as pronounced as they look on the painted version. I don't think the painted version is doing it that many favours. I will say that is not a great like set of photos to promote this. Look at the gaps. Look at the gaps in this. I mean, the gaps are clearly gone on the painted version. I'm assuming they were filled in some, although the neck doesn't look like it was filled at all. Does it? Oh, it's hard to tell. I mean, I feel like that some filling had to have gone on before anyone painted this thing, because those are horrendous gaps in that. But yeah, without the paint on, you can see the detail a bit better. Things like the eyes. You can't even tell what's going on with the eyes properly on the painted version. Yeah, I feel like the paint job has not done this model any favours. I think it looks pretty good, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it without either some liquid green stuff or some milliput or something to fill those gaps in when you put it together, because that is not great. That is not great. Kira the Huntress, obviously solid. Excellent feather work there in the hair. Well, more. I was going to say more feather than hair, but I don't know if that's true, because there's plenty of hair in there as well. Yeah, again, the House Escher stuff looks really good as a general rule. There's a lot of like arrogant, sauntering attitude to this model as well, which I like. She really doesn't look like she cares what you say to her. She's just going to murder you anyway. Yeah, so that is a good looking model. Also, I really like the amount of detail that's put into like the feathers and stuff on the head. See, it's like without the paint on, it's super, super crisp. Not to say the paint job on this one's bad. I think this is pretty good, but yeah, it's a very there's lots of nice little fine details going on with this one. Same thing with Belladonna. I will say that I think in some ways I prefer Kria, sorry. But Belladonna still looks decent. I just don't know about the kind of... I was going to say the kind of angular approach on some of the armour. I mean, some of it is prosthetics, like it's stuff that's kind of replaced missing limbs. So... But then again, you know, the design of it could be a bit smoother in places. Just because it kind of lends a strange... I don't know, it kind of unbalances the model a bit. Like that mechanical hand, the forearm being that bulky, is so at odds with like the leg on the same side. It's like if the leg doesn't need to be that bulky, then why is the forearm that bulky? It doesn't look hugely logical. It doesn't look like it makes a huge amount of sense. And if they were totally different shapes, and the design of them was distinctly different, then it would be a case of, okay, well, you know, that leg is clearly of different manufacturer, but they're not. They're similar enough that one of them looks sleek and the other one just looks bulky for no reason. And there's not much in the way of like added detail within that kind of mechanical forearm section that really makes it seem like there's any point to it. I'm also not a massive fan of the hair on this one either. it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me. I do like the similar approach with the cabling going from the base of the neck to the mechanical limbs. That's like a nice theme that was continued with what's his name, with Mercator. Yeah, that's a nice way to do it. Also, that is a pretty brutal looking axe as well. Phaetos 232 is horrendous. What the hell is going on with this model? It is gross. I mean, the guy's got two faces. He's got his top face, and then he's got his lower face. Awful, disturbing model. The way the tube is like rammed up through the lower jaw, and it's kind of separated at the lip from the chin, and horrible model. Really well done, but super gross. And although, mind you, that becomes a little bit of a theme as we go along. Gore Halfhorn, the Beastman bounty hunter as well, it's a Beastman. It's a Beastman. We need more Beastmen. Come on. I really like the way this guy's painted. Actually, it's just absolutely quality paint job. I mean, he looks solid. Look at him. He looks solid. He's got like a cigar in his mouth, the bionic eye that he's got, like the lens over the eye. It's awesome. I love the. No, it's not a plasma. Yeah, it is a plasma pistol, isn't it? Is it? Whatever it is, it looks solid. The armor over the front of the shins, leaning down to the hooves. It's just so good. It's so good. Need more Beastmen in 40k. We just do. It's just one of those things. You can't deny it. We just need more Beastmen. Bertram Ororos III. I love this model. What an aristocrat. Look at him. Like the judge's wig look. The big long coat. That weird metal chin thing he's got going on. I'm not as much of a fan of, but everything else about this model. It's just quality. I love the long, kind of curled, plaited hair, holding out the bounty. Oi! No, it wouldn't be oi. You there? Read this paper. You're coming with me. Something like that. Something posh. I'm not great at posh, to be honest. I'm not very posh. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Again, it just feels like it tells its own little story, that model. Eros Slagmist has got the worst name. You can't just put the word slag in people's names. You can't do that. That's weird. It's funny, but it's weird. Again, this is a really solid model. This is one of my favourites by far. Because it's so different. It's so odd. Got this big old tank on the... got 3 tanks on the front. You got this big old hanging tank of liquid at the back. The helmet thing that almost looks a bit Tau-like, but probably isn't. The fact that the whole face is covered by a mask with like a rebreather on it. It's just super good. Again, it's that like different side to 40k. It's that kind of more unknown, less explored in the main game. Like all the weird creatures and entities and people that kind of exist on the fringe of the kind of overarching story. It means you can make stuff like this, which just adds so much in the way of fleshing out what technology humanity has and is capable of using and what it's used for. Like, it just adds more. Just adds more. So good. Grendelson, the other squat. I mean, I like the fact he's in there because he's a squat. I'm not too bothered about the model, to be honest. I'm not too fussed about it at this point. It looks fine. It looks okay. Nothing particularly blows me away. The hammer is a bit simplistic for my taste, compared to the kind of more ornamented compared to like the more ornamented look of some of the gear he's got on. The kind of quilted coat's a nice touch. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Not one of my favourites, but I appreciate the fact that he's there. Now, this is one of my favourites. Ortrum 88 Psyhound Bounty Hunter. What the actual hell is this? What is this? What on earth? This is like Slag Mist in a way. This kind of, it just opens up the weirdness and the outright bizarre nonsense that goes on in the 40k universe that we just don't get to see all that much. What an absolute freak. There's no other way of saying it. I'm sorry. There's just no other way of saying it. The deformed face, the big old helmet that kind of like extends really far back. The fact that the arms have been amputated, but it's okay because he was given a little pair of mechanical arms that stick out of his gut. And like, where were his legs? Were his legs there? Did he have legs and they were removed as well? Where did the tubes come out of? His weird tubes, are those like... I mean, are those coming out of his arse? Just what even is this? What even is this? It's just mad. It's just so weird and creepy. Ugh. I love it. Now, Bigby Crumb, the Rattling Slopper. I just love the name. I love the name Bigby Crumb. That's going to be... I'm playing a lot of worms with friends at the moment. Bigby Crumb is totally going to end up being a worm name. I do like the detail of the pot more than the dude, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, the ladle's fun. The liquid dripping out of it is cool. But the fact there's that big like tentacle tongue thing trying to get out of the pot. Love it. Love that. It's great. You got the boot in there. I like the fact you don't have to have the tentacle tongue thing. That's a nice touch. But why? I mean, why would you not have that in there? Why would you not? So you can put the lid on it? No, just don't put the lid on it. You got to keep that tentacle. You better pray that I remember to edit that sneeze out because you're going to be in for a bad time if I didn't. And then we've got some of the earliest ones. We've got the hired guns and the gang leader with Cyber Mastiff. Out of these, I will say, I'm not massively bothered about this dude. He looks okay. It looks kind of cool. Nice hunchback approach there, which is fun. Yeah, he looks alright. She looks fine. There's some nice detail going on. The way that the hair in the back, the way that's been painted to fade into blue and red is a nice touch. I also like the shoulder plates on this model as well. They look decent. And the fact that the cloth covering over the face has got like a rebreather thing in it. It's a nice touch. Again, looks decent. But of the three, I mean, this is my favourite. Got like some sort of brutal glaive weapon. The revolver held outstretched. That kind of tank on the back. And that is a cool helmet. It's a cool mask / helmet, whatever it is. I mean, it could be either, really. The single, like, bionic eye is always a good look, in my opinion. Yeah, it looks solid. Also, the little patch on the trousers is a really nice little touch. Really nice little detail. And then we've got he's got an actual name. I forget his name. Slate, Medena, and Macula. That was it. What a name, Macula. This dude just looks absolutely solid. It just looks like he'd end you. Massive whack-off great hammer. Looks awesome. Love the visor. The visor's a great touch. I mean, look how chunky he is. My God. He'd snap you in half. He just looks so imposing and ready to crush your skull. It's great. And of course he has his best doggo. She's one ugly dog, but on the other hand, also terrifying. genuinely terrifying dog. Things like the kind of spinal cord thing, that metal cable going down its neck and into its back is... Ugh. The scarring around the bionic leg, again, is really nicely done. Yeah, that is a solid model. That is a solid model. Tell you what, let's go back to Slag Mist. Do love a bit of Slag Mist, so to speak. What? Anyway, that is the current lineup of Necromunda bounty hunters on Forge World. Do you have a particular favourite? Is there anyone that you like more than any of the others by far? And if so, what is your reasoning for it? And do you have any of these and use them actually for Necromunda? How well do they perform for you? Good purchase, bad purchase, or do you just use them as whatever? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like. You don't have to click it. It's entirely up to you. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.